We're working on understanding battery aging and how does the environment surrounding the battery affect it. We're also looking at battery multiple life. So how can you repurpose electric vehicle batteries into residential or grid applications instead of just throwing them away or recycling them? There's actually 80% that we could reuse. That would be Second Life battery industry. So they will receive all the batteries from the electric vehicle dealerships with whatever contracts they have arranged, and they will store them, they will test them, and they will identify which ones are closer to others in characteristics, and they will regroup them as closely as they can so there is an homogeneous pack. Be not destructive, right? We can always know if we do a post-mortem analysis, but that kills the battery, so it beats the purpose. So it takes a long time to characterize it. The problem is it is quite labor intense and equipment intense, because if you have hundreds or thousands of these batteries, you cannot be testing them all at a time. You would have a problem of power. You don't have enough power to test your batteries, and equipment is very expensive. So it can be done, but they cannot guarantee a specific amount of life. So as long as you use them as they expect, it should work. I think they marry very well fuel cell concept with the battery. So trying to get out of the problem of batteries not having enough charge in them. So if you store the charge outside like a tank, then we have a problem that we know how to solve, because for engines we have that. We have a power conversion unit, that's the engine, and then you have the tank, that's the storage. So kind of replicates that, so we know how to work with it. So I like full batteries. So what you have is that one of the electrodes is air. If you do that, that is wonderful, because now you have eliminated a whole subsystem of your battery. So it's going to be lighter by definition, but it does have some problems. So normally batteries are sealed. The minute you need air into them, now you're going to have humidity problems. If you are in areas close to water or sea in particular, you're going to have maybe salt deposits in it. It's been around for a while. Sync air is quite popular. Everyone using hearing aids has a sync air battery, but they are primary batteries. So once you use them once, you have to throw them away. They're not a secondary battery, they do not allow recharge. Solid state batteries, so moving away from electrolytes that are liquid or gel, they decompose and produce thermal runaway when they decompose. So not desirable. So moving to a solid state improves safety, although heat evacuation is tougher. Typically in a battery we have a solid electrode, a liquid or gel electrolyte, and then the separator, and then the other electrode, right? That is also solid. So electrodes are solid, electrolyte is liquid or gel. In molten salts, it's the opposite. So the electrodes are molten and the electrolyte is solid. So sodium sulfur, you have molten sodium on one side, molten sulfur on the other, and ceramic beta-alumina based electrolyte. So that is solid. So it is fascinating that the phases change for molten sulfur. The problem that grid have is the scale of it. So it is difficult to scale up a technology, and that has always been a challenge for batteries. When researchers, especially material scientists, are developing new technologies, they make it work in a very tiny, micrometer type of cell. And they see it works wonderfully. And it comes out in the news. We have a new technology, this person has revolutionized everything. Now they scale up to maybe a coin. Oh, well, now we see, it's not that perfect. Now they scale it up to, 18650, a cylindrical cell. Oh, now there's a bunch of other problems. Now we put them in a battery pack, huge for grid application. Oh my God, this is not possible. We cannot use this technology. So scaling it up is absolutely difficult. And for grid in particular, the problem they face is a lot of thermal control, because the battery packs are very big. They can be the size of a semi-trailer or several semi-trailers. So having the same temperature in all the spots in that semi-trailer is much harder than having the same temperature in my phone. And then when they design these trailers, they are trying to have like a plug-play solution. You just have two connectors, one goes to your load, the other one may go to the grid. Oh, that's it. Everything is pre-done for me. The problem is, oh yeah, I'm going to put this, smack in the middle of New Mexico where it's blistering hot. Well, now the thermal properties you thought you would have inside that trailer are not there anymore. You have to increase the thermal evacuation capacity of your semi-trailer pack so you can have the batteries live long enough and not burn out. And also managing aging, because now you don't have one cell or two cells. In vehicles you can have hundreds and thousands of cells, but in grid you can have tens of thousands of cells, and they should all work as close as possible in their characteristics. That is very hard if temperature is all over the place. Balancing all those cells can be hard too, so just the management of such a high number of cells is challenging. They were designed exclusively for very large scale. So no one thinks of pumped hydro in the watts scale. It's in the megawatts. It's really big. Compressed air is the same thing. It is in the megawatts. So they were already designed for very large scale. For batteries, they were designed for very small scale, and they are scaling it up so it can match other technologies. I would say they're wonderful options, especially hydro. If it's already in place, there is no further damage that you're going to do to the environment because it is already there. So I would totally use whatever hydro is available. Compressed air is a wonderful option if you are in an area that has natural salt caverns that you can make up easily. That is a wonderful thing. Trying to compete with compressed air, but it is really hard. And they're trying with lithium, but there are other batteries that work better at large scale, like sodium sulfur work very well at large scale. Flow batteries also work well at large scale. So those two technologies right now are the closest ones to compete with compressed air or pumped hydro. Do not store batteries in your freezer. There's a higher chance of them failing because when you freeze them, the phase of the electrolyte is going to change to solid.
Yeah,
so you can rupture the separator by having crystals in your electrolyte. So you should keep them in a cool area, like a drawer, a dark place that the sun is not hitting on them. And a second recommendation would be the way you store a battery depends on the technology. So if you have a lead acid battery, you have to store it fully charged, because if not, you're going to have sulfation. Sulfation happens when the battery is kept discharged for a long time, because when discharging you have sulfate crystals grow in the electrodes because the electrodes goes from lead to lead sulfate.